Well, hello and welcome back to Creative Instruct. Today we're gonna look on some new updates Figma released 28th of March 2023. Pretty sure that you will find some of them quite useful. There are some hidden gems. Definitely they have an impact, at least in the work in terms of UI, UX. So if you're interested, feel free to follow with this episode and subscribe to the channel. So we're here on figma.com/what's new. I'm gonna leave the links in the description. Quick preview on what they've done. Number one, they upgraded their filtering system. So if you're in a Figma file and you're looking for a specific frame, component, or text, or you were missing out on that find and replace functionality, which for example code editors IDs have it. Now Figma offers that thing. Blending modes, you can easily preview how an image will play when you're changing the blending mode of that layer. We're gonna look over this one briefly. And for those of you who work with masks, now they have mask called Luminance for some really nice effects. Again, something we can test on our own. The typography, they really improved their game on the typography. I know I'm gonna use this one. It's basically a vertical trim, for vertical rhythm in your designs, making the bounding box of a text element stay exactly at the line height of that specific string. Like that, you're gonna have more predictability and more precision with the elements surrounding that particular text. A basic example would be when you have a label on top of an input field and you want maybe 4-8 pixels in between, and those pixels need to measure from baseline of the text. Okay, again, in terms of typography, lists now can start from any number. Well, that could be also considered a feature. They didn't have that one before. And they also have something called hanging punctuations. For those who prototype a new type of behavior, sticky behavior at the top of the page, or those elements that you want to have that kind of behavior and not scroll entirely and not to go entirely out of view. And something I also find useful but might not be for everyone when you work with multiple projects and you need to move some files or parts of a file from one project to the other. Well, if you want to see the entire list of their updates, because there are more than 30 updates, it's here on figma.com/release notes. Basically are those which I just mentioned, plus others, because also updates on FigJam were shipped and on the API, for those that create Figma plugins. Okay, jumping quickly in Figma to test some of these goodies. One of them that I didn't mention is a better control on your guidelines. So imagine I'm clicking and dragging from my rulers. I have several guidelines. Those are quite practical when you're aiming for a specific type of layout, but then as you have too many of them, you will start to need to discard them. You can easily do that now by right-clicking on the ruler, for example this one at the top, and say remove all vertical guidelines, and they will vanish. Same thing with the one on the left. If I click on the ruler, I can remove all the guidelines that were horizontal. If you don't see the rulers, the shortcut is Shift R to show or hide the rulers, or you can just go to the Figma menu, view, and you will find them here. Okay, I mentioned lists. Well, here's the basic idea. You have a list of elements, and then if you decide to start a new list, just like that, you can start from any number. Let's say 7, workout, network, time with friends. Just like that, you don't have to start all the list from number one. I did mention a new thing that I like is called hanging punctuation. Let's say you have this famous quote, but you would like apostrophe to move outside. You would just go by having that text selected to the type settings, to advanced settings, and over here under details, okay, just for everybody to see, I'm gonna check the hanging punctuation. Having that checked, this was moved outside. That's a nice thing. Another thing on the typography level, I'm sure many of you are familiar with this. When you create a text element, and it will have this bounding box, but then you have some element which comes right below that one, and you will try to have an exact space. Well, that space, and I'm just showing you here my red line by holding down Alt. Well, that space is measured from the bounding box of the text element. Normally we want it to go from the baseline. That's the correct way to do it. Now, Illustrator, Photoshop, they had better control on text elements. Figma was kind of lacking on this chapter, let's say. So to do that, you just go to text, and from the basics option, choose vertical rhythm. Okay, just like that, you will constrain that bounding box to the exact height of the text. Now, when you will need to measure, okay, it will be definitely more precise. Okay, moving forward, I want to show you a thing with masks. So I have blue rectangle, a green one, and orange one, and some images. The rectangles in my layer stack are on top of the image. You can check it here. So if I bring the blue rectangle on top of that first image and select both of them, I can just right click, say use mask, and now on the right side here where it says mask, I will change it to luminance. Look what happened. It applies this kind of effect where it spots the highlights in that image, keeps them white, and the dark shades take the color of that initial rectangle. Of course, I can change the color of that rectangle, and yeah, the image will update. That's really nice for those of you that need to do plenty of work with images and you're after a specific style. Okay, blending modes. Well, blending modes work like this. You will have an image that is on top of other layers. Okay, like I have this monitor image on top of those three rectangles. I'll just make the image a bit larger for everyone to see. Okay, now by having the image selected, I would go over here on the right on the properties, and yeah, I can move through those blending options and see how the image will play with the existing layers that are below. Okay, feel free to experiment. I would say over here there are not right and wrong answer. It's about you achieving a particular style you're after. You could also be in a project, you know, where have maybe multiple frames, and now we will have this option to search. If we want to search, we can search here for a specific string services. Okay, and Figma will start to show me where it's located, a component or a text or a layer, yeah, with the name of services. Of course, you can change what Figma is looking for from this option menu up here. So this kind of plays back to the idea that it's really important to have a naming system for the elements, for the components, frames, and groups that you will use in your designs. Another nice feature that they said they have it now is when you want to move a particular file from one project to a different one. Okay, so this applies when you work in teams. You can just right click, select move file, then this list of other projects and teams you have access to will appear here. I can move this selected file maybe to this new folder. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Feel free to experiment with them. I'm pretty sure that some of them you'll find more useful than others, because it really depends on your working styles and problems you faced in the past. Yeah, let me know which one is your favorite, and I'll see you in the next one.